as rescue operations continue to find dozens of people who are reported missing in KwaZulu-Natal, the South African Human Rights Commission says the dignity of those impacted by the floods needs to be protected. The devastating floods have claimed more than 300 lives now and counting, and left thousands others stranded. Many of the flood victims have lost their homes, their belongings, and are now seeking government help during this incredibly bleak period. Let's unpack this aspect of the story for you now. Bring in the South African Human Rights Commission CEO, Tseliso Thipanyane, who joins us via our video link. Advocate, it's great to see you as always. Thanks for making time. I mean, what kind of considerations are you making as the Human Rights Commission, as a Chapter 9 institution, as you watch how government is responding to the calamity in KZN?
Good morning and thanks for the opportunity. Certainly, this is one of the biggest calamities in our country, and has major impact on human rights. And we as a Human Rights Commission with a mandate to protect and promote human rights are quite concerned about this. So we'll be monitoring to see exactly what measures are being done by the state to ensure that, the rights of the vulnerable people are protected. But at the same time, we also have to address, a number of issues around climate change, but also how then we better prepare for this kind of disasters, because clearly climate change is here with us. It also affects, our Section 24 rights, the right to a clean and safe environment. So a lot has to be done to ensure that, we can deal with this phenomena in a much better manner. Yeah, certainly it is one of the worst tragedies we've ever experienced.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're told it's the heaviest rains in 60 years, for instance. But I can't help, for instance, but remember the words of the Education MEC in KZN, who spoke about how, yes, there's damage to schools currently taking place, but they were still dealing with more than 400 other schools that were yet to be fixed because of the previous floods in KwaZulu-Natal. At which stage does that become a violation of people's human rights?
Well, the lack of housing, lack of education, the lack of water, the lack of sanitation, all those are human rights violations. And that's why we're concerned as the Commission that, we need to ensure that, the rights of vulnerable people are better protected, but also we do better as a state to ensure that, we protect people. I mean, many of the challenges we're seeing in KZN is because, people don't even have proper housing. And hence, when the floods come in, people just lose everything. And therefore, we have to take better preventive measures as government to ensure that we prevent this, but we also alleviate this. So we'll also be looking at how people are being assisted, in furtherance of their rights. So people have lost almost everything. We've had people losing their loved ones, people are injured. So it's a serious calamity, worse than the understeering of last year.
Yeah, I guess at the heart of my question, Advocate, is at which stage does it become unreasonable to expect people to wait for government to assist in a context where government already has come out to say that they're dealing with a backlog from the previous floods? Because, I mean, I'm sure we're all familiar with the conditions in our country. What is really heartbreaking is that we could go back to these affected communities in months to come and find that nothing has changed.
Yeah, that's why we'll be monitoring the situation. We'll go on the ground, but we'll also be engaging with government, to address the backlogs we are talking about, but also to build in a better manner for the future. And also take lots of efforts to ensure that, we address the issues of climate change, issues of environmental degradation, pollution. So we'll definitely, that's why we're developing an action plan. And we're also prioritizing these issues, how do we better respond as a country to the challenges of climate change, but also ensure that, vulnerable people are better protected. There's better housing for everybody. There's better sanitation for everybody else.
Yeah. Speak to us a bit more about that action plan. What are your immediate interventions?
Well, the first thing is really to go to the ground and monitor and see what is happening, but also engage with government about, how better to respond to these issues. But thirdly, we're considering having Indaba around issues of climate change and its impact on human rights, as well as issues of climate justice. We really need to do a lot more than we've been doing in the past, because climate change is here. There will definitely be more of this nature, these developments going forward, and we better be prepared.
Perhaps let me take a few steps back. I mean, what is your reading of how government has responded so far to what's taking place in KZN?
Well, we commend the efforts done by government, including the visit to the province by the president, but we also need to have a serious reflection as to, could we have not done better to prevent this, but also to respond to these challenges? And that's what we want to engage with government and everybody else. Hence the issue of having an Indaba to say, look, climate change is here with us. and it's going to affect everything in our country. And therefore, we better take necessary measures to prevent and prepare for future calamities like this.
Yeah. The great concern, of course, is over and above the material loss that a lot of people are suffering as of this morning. Many of those we've spoken to on Newzroom Afrika have also really expressed their disillusionment with the status quo, perhaps with even Chapter 9 institutions, definitely with the state. What's your message to those people who believe that they're stranded at this stage and have nowhere to look to, despite what constitutionally they're entitled to?
Well, we have to keep on hoping for a better future, and that's why we'll be on the ground. We'll also engage with government and the community to see what could be done. We do have to accept that, things could have been done better, and we really want to apologize to our people that, 25 years later, despite the rise in the Bill of Rights, we're still seeing this kind of experiences, lack of proper housing, and of course, when people are stranded, people have lost many things. And secondly, this calamity also highlights again challenges of our country, of inequalities in our country, the gap between the rich and the poor. And these issues have to be addressed going forward in a much better manner.
Advocate Tseliso Thipanyane is the CEO of the South African Human Rights Commission. Thanks very much indeed for your time.